Logansport Board and Works order. Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Seems like we just did this.
We did.
We did. Okay. Roll call. Carol Sue, please.
Ron Miller.
Present.
Chris Armstrong.
Here.
Mayor Franklin.
Here. Approval of minutes, November 14th, 2012, and November 19th, special meeting, 2012.
I have read them both, and I would make a motion that we approve the minutes for the November 14th and the November 19th meeting as presented.
I would second that motion. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, it passes on a vote of 3-0. Okay, approval of claims.
I would make a motion we approve the claims as presented in the amount of $356,547.83.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the claims, please signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, passes on a vote of 3-0. Approval of licenses. There are none for consideration. Are there any changes to the agenda? None? Okay, there's no old business. Under new business, Logan's Landing Association request for a gaming license approval.
They lease the building from the city, so in order for them to get a license to do their raffle where people bring, I think it's non-perishable food items on the night of the Christmas downtown open house, they can get a ticket to win prizes, and in order to do that they have to have a gaming license since we own the building.
Okay.
We need to approve it.
Okay. Is there any discussion? No discussion? I think this is an annual thing we do. I don't have any objections to it. I think I understand what their mission is here. So, did you make a motion?
No.
Okay, I'll make the motion that we approve the request.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, passes on a vote of 3-0. Street Department grant. I have Mr. Williams here. Can you tell us about that, Dan? I couldn't read it.
I couldn't read it.
Yeah,
That's the
Dan
best copy
hadn't
that I
seen it.
have, Ted, and that's what was given to us. I'm not sure where we got it from. The Board of Works doesn't necessarily have to approve this, but the way we're doing the grants now is it has to pass through you so that you can see that there's one out there.
Okay.
I believe that the grant actually is it has to do with places along the railroad, and that's about all I know. Dan,
The way I understand it, we're going to repaint the markings and the
Right.
upgrade.
Intersections?
Exactly.
Right. Right. And that's what I thought it was too, but it was extremely hard to read, and but I knew that you were involved in it from the beginning.
Go to the computer and see if I have it.
Okay. And the amount is $6,613.20. So I think this is pretty standard. Carol, so you don't believe a vote is necessary? It's just
I think you just
acknowledging.
have to be aware of the fact that he's got the grant.
Okay. Do we need
So
a
here, then it goes to the council where we can give it a number.
Do we need a motion to approve this to make us aware of it?
I don't think so. I mean, well, I guess you'd have to have your call, Randy.
Let the minutes reflect that the purpose of the grant is like.
I'm happy with that. All right, thank you. Bid specs for materials and supplies. This is, well, I'll turn it over to Carol Sue and ask her for an explanation of this. What are we doing and why?
I have to advertise for bids for various supplies for the various departments. Mostly it's just for the street department. And bid specs are here. and they'll be able to come to our office and pick them up.
And what are those supplies?
Well, Ted, if you look there, it's something like 2 minutes.
For the record, what are those supplies? It's like stone and asphalt and concrete and all that flat
Bituminous
work.
asphalt.
Yeah, various things. Concrete flat work, handicap ramps, and we intend to receive bids up till 4 p.m. on Wednesday, December 19th, and we will award bids sometime after that. Don't know when.
Do you need a motion?
You need a motion?
I would make a motion that the Board of Public Works advertise as per the notice of bids for various supplies of stone, sand, gravel, bituminous asphalt, and installation thereof as contained in the bid notice, and that those bids, sealed bids, be presented by 4 p.m. Wednesday, December 19th, 2012.
I would second that motion. Is there any discussion? All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes on a vote of 3-0. Thank you, Carol Sue. Building Commissioners report.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I submitted my report for your review. If there's any specific questions on that, please. I will note that we will be rotating probably at least 4 properties pending resolutions weekly. We are in the process of connecting with property owners and working through issues on their property. So we're creating a start point for each one of these properties, so you'll see new properties each week coming up. If they continue to work towards correcting their problems as they exist, then they'll in time just fall off. If not, then they'll go to the next step of it, the actual 30-day notice being put out of the problems and putting them on a timeline. We have 3 construction site major projects going on in the city limits right now. All 3 projects are moving along. See no issues with those projects at this time. I did note a new business item, and I did this more of just an announcement to the board that we are issuing final letters to the 5 properties that are listed, giving them one last chance to defend their position before we move into demolition phase and start tearing these properties down. It is a short window of time, but all of these properties have numerous years of warnings and negotiations and commitments, and based on the administration's commitment, we're going to move forward if they don't come forward within the next 7 days or at next week's board meeting. As my notice states, that after next week's board meeting, if they do not show up to defend, we will within 10 days, 10 calendar days, demolish those properties. Just as a precursor or forewarning, we have another 9 properties on our list that we have already gone through and done title searches on and had multiple demolition bids on those. We will be moving in the next 3 or 4 consecutive weeks in the same fashion to bring those to resolution before the end of the calendar year.
Right.
So.
I appreciate your work on that, and I like the fact that we're going to invite them here one more time, although I don't expect anything. One of these, at least one of these, goes back 17 years that we've been fighting, we the city has been fighting to get the property improved, and there's no intent to do it, but based on legal advice and our willingness to work with them, I think we have displayed more than fairness to these people and working with them, some of them for at least a year now. And that's the year that we've been here. It goes back much farther than that. So I appreciate your efforts. I applaud your efforts. And I appreciate the new perspective that you put on it. I mean, there are issues that you brought up that my simple mind never would have thought of. And it's the reason you're there, and I appreciate you doing it.
Okay. Thank you.
So by my unofficial calendar, the 10th of December will be outside that 10-day window, and sometime after the 10th of December, contracts will be signed to take those houses down if we get no response?
Well, the process for me is going to be is that after next week's meeting, if we don't have any defense for these properties, we're going to close out a contract to demolish those properties within the next 2 days. We have bids for all of these properties by 3 qualified bidders here locally, so the numbers are in.
Okay.
But my notice to them is that after next week's board meeting, if given the approval to demolish, that within 10 days from next Wednesday, those properties will be down on the ground
Okay,
and
good.
removed.
Good. And Mr. City Attorney, will you be here next Wednesday?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. I would make a motion that we accept the building commissioner's report as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, it passes on a vote of 3-0. Thank you. Code enforcement officer.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
You have in front of you my report for the week. Other than the notices to appear that I'll get to here in just a minute, do you have any questions concerning the rest of it?
That's- No, no, he lives on, he's far away. No, he's So nobody showed up?
No, not yet. So I'm assuming they're not. All right, if you don't have any questions, let's start with, first of all, 2215, 2005 North, and 2009 North. I re-inspected all of them this morning. They have all been cleared either by the renter or by the property owner, so we don't need to do anything with them. If we start with 918 North Street, or I'm sorry, 918 High Street.
I'm sorry, let me back you up. You say 3 of them are cleared, the 3 on North Street?
Yes.
Okay.
And if we can go to 918 North Street, the tall stack of pictures, the biggest stack in there, Chris, those pictures were taken this morning. There has been no attempt whatsoever to take care of this. I had actually sent them a letter back midsummer. The house is in foreclosure. It's empty. There's at least 2 windows on the back side of the house that have been boarded up. It was originally, it's titled in the name Albano Garcia. I've made numerous attempts to contact them. I've been unsuccessful. At this point, I would ask the board for permission to go ahead and do a property cleanup on that and attach the, by ordinance, attach the cost of the cleanup plus any fines to that property.
And proper notice has been given.
Proper notice has been given, including I sent them the certified letter and it was returned unsigned. The only address that I have on them, on these people, are 918, and here's where I sent it, the certified letter, and it was returned.
Without a signature?
Returned and stamped. The house was vacant.
Do you think that meets the legal threshold as far as the notification?
We don't have any idea where they are,
No idea.
so we're not avoiding giving them actual notice by leaving it where somewhere we know they're not. We've given it the only address that we know that, you know.
That is correct. There's been three letters sent by U.S. Postal Service to that address, one of them certified, and there's been 2 hand-delivered notices hung on the door.
If you want to be extra safe, we can advertise in the paper and the legal notices.
Yeah, I think we've in the past, we haven't gone to that extent, and I think that delays it even further and costs even more money.
It does delay, it does cost more money. Service, we're not in a court right now, but under Indiana trial rules, you can't find somebody if you publish notice in the newspaper where their last known address is, and it serves that community.
Mhm.
Service is considered good.
I would make a motion that we order the property cleanup and attach liens to the property so that we receive our reimbursement.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion regarding 918 High Street? Hearing none. All in favor of, in this particular property, there will be 2 more to go back and visit. All in favor of ordering the property cleanup, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes on a vote of 3-0. Your next one, sir.
Next one, if we can move on to 920 West Miami Avenue. This is a house that I have had multiple conversations with the gentleman that purchased it in a sheriff's sale. The house is condemned. Prior to Bill coming on board, I had condemned this house quite some time ago, early summer, late spring. Shortly after I condemned it, the next door neighbor came in and said he was in the process of buying the house. He was a young kid. I don't think he knew what he was getting himself into. He supposedly was going to clean it up and start on it. We have since mowed. Dan, what, have we mowed 4 times at 920? That's the big brick house.
Is that where we also pulled the bushes?
Pull the bushes out of the front. The house is just in deplorable condition.
Yep.
I had sent him several letters. I personally talked with a representative from Glebe Point Partnership LLC out of Dover, Delaware. He was very let's just say the conversation wasn't pleasant. The property's still titled in his name. If you look at the picture, did I give you a picture of that one? No. The green sofa, yep, that's it.
Okay.
The green sofa, he moved inside the garage, the neighbor did. Even though the property's condemned, I've driven past there, he's been in the garage working on cars a couple different times. The brown sofa is still out there, and it has been out there since at least August 17th.
You sent certified mail to that address?
Certified letter to
I make the motion
police.
that we order the property cleanup for 920 West Miami Avenue and attach a lien to the property.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any further discussion? Any questions for code enforcement? All in favor of ordering the property cleanup and attaching the lien, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? It passes on a vote of 3-0. 1601 Wright Street.
That's owned by DLW Properties LLC. I've had conversation with the property owner. They've cleaned everything up with the exception of the basketball goalpost that is still sitting in the middle of the street. That's probably more of a police issue. I would ask that
It's in the street?
it's in the street. It's sitting next to Longfellow School. I would ask that you have Chief Mike Clark go up and notify the residents at that property that they cannot have a basketball goal in the street and can't play basketball there.
Is it a portable basketball?
Yeah,
goal?
it's one of those that's on a plastic pedestal with wheels in the front that you can move anywhere you want.
So your recommendation is to turn it over to the police department?
Right. And if Chief Clark would like to get with me, I can get him the name and the address of the property owner if he would prefer to contact them other than the rest.
How long do we traditionally give them to move the basketball goal in an instance like this? Is it 48 hours or 24 minutes?
This is it's a traffic safety issue, so it should be removed immediately.
Okay. In your past experience, if the property owner doesn't coordinate, the owner of the basketball goal doesn't coordinate, how do we handle that?
I can't tell you. I've never had one in the 23 years I was on the police department. I never had one that wouldn't move it from the street.
Okay. Suggestions? I think it has to be moved.
Mm-hmm.
But I would ask you to contact the chief of police and see if he can follow through with that. If they don't move it by nearing the end of business, today, that we just go up and move it ourselves.
Okay.
Can we do that, Randy, and just confiscate the goal?
we should allow them to claim it. We can't claim ownership of it
Yeah.
without a warrant. But if they're playing basketball and cars are coming, that's obstructing traffic, and it could be, they could have an offense filed against them and have to defend themselves in criminal court for obstructing traffic.
So if we confiscate the gold, possibly leave it at the street department for X number of days, let them come and pick it up?
Yes, I give them a chance to move for,
And how long is a reasonable amount of time for them to come and pick it up if they don't do it by, is it reasonable at close of business today to move the gold?
no, because they may be out of town for the holiday.
Okay,
So I would say give them a week.
okay.
All right.
I would ask you to contact Chief Clark.
But our first option needs to be to have them move it.
Right.
And if they do that, move it off the street, then problem solved.
Yeah, have Chief Clark contact them, explain the violation. You might want to be with them and also notify them at that time, either in writing, certified mail, or a door hanger, that they have to move it. And we'll visit again next week when you're here.
All right.
I would make a motion that we accept the code enforcement officer's report as presented.
Second.
Been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Passes on a vote of 3-0. Superintendent of Public Works.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Dan.
You have in front of you my report for Mount Hope Cemetery and also the Logansport Street Department. Been very busy. We put out 120 barricades, which we'll have 30 more to do today. It's a busy week. Takes time to do all those.
Would you just comment briefly on picked up refrigerated items paid for by residents to have free on recycling?
Right, we pick them up and we charge them $12, and that $12, we take the refrigerant out of them and then
Recycle whatever.
recycle. Yes,
Yeah, because it's part of the Clean Air Act of 1992.
Exactly.
We can't just charge Freon into the
So
atmosphere.
you have to recapture it in a container.
Yeah.
right.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but am I seeing markings on the streets?
I was actually hoping you didn't bring that.
Well, I think I
I
am.
had 2 calls yesterday from people up around 26th and Broadway about markings on the street, and
Is it gang affiliated?
no, it's the Y did it, and we had meetings where I voiced my opinion, not to put it on the streets, and they went ahead and did it. I notified them, and they really, for lack of a better term, could care less about what I tell them about writing on the streets. So I advised them, I asked them, please, when it's over, take black paint and cover them up, because I had 2 residents call wanting to know if we're paving the street, if we're going to dig it up, what are we doing? So it was the Y that did the writing on the street. They have a turkey trot this week, and the first meeting when the proposal was brought before the board, we tabled it to the next meeting, and some way or another it got passed without them being notified, and they've done it that way every year, and they really don't.
It wasn't a provision. I was thinking we made it, I know we had
We
discussion.
did
but-
they were told, to use chalk or some kind of paint that would wash off, and what they used is bright orange
Okay.
permanent paint. So I
will-
did contact them, ask them if they would, when it was over, to take black paint and paint it.
You know when we did that approval for the turkey
I have
trot?
I have it back on my desk.
If you could give me the date of that, I'll go back and see if we reflected anything in the minutes as far as that request, and
It is in
be
the
happy to
minutes.
follow up with
It
the
is in the minutes.
leadership at the Y and ask them. Is there any questions for Superintendent of Public Works? Okay, I would make a motion that we accept his report as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the report as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Your Honor?
Yes.
One thing that I did forget to mention, and it wasn't on the agenda, it came in last second this morning. The library asked, the barricade situation down there on 6th Street, behind
In
the
the alley.
insurance office in the alley. Every time we set barricades up, someone else moves them.
Uh-huh.
She asked if we're not going to leave them set up to close the alley, if we could move them, because she's concerned with snow plowing. I talked to Dan about it this morning, and he expressed that you had said something to him about a concern if we move the alleys and somebody's walking through there, a car drives through there, then the bricks fall on them and injure them or tear their car, we could be liable for it. I'm just asking for guidance on how you would like us to proceed on this.
I'm going to look at the city attorney. This is on the Jeff Murray property that's in court. We're asking him to demolish it. The judge has ordered us to get along,
Right.
and there is a hazard.
Yes, there is a hazard in the alley should remain closed.
And we have made the attempt to close it, to notify people by using the barricades. If somebody moves the barricades, they don't like it, they continue to drive through, and unless we post somebody there 24 hours a day to make sure the barricade stays out, it gets moved. That's the hurdle that we're trying to get across here. So
Is
if
there,
we leave the barricade out,
Yes.
as we have, and if somebody moves it, we can't help it.
Right.
is there anything wrong with putting a cement barricade down there that can't be moved?
No, nothing wrong with that.
We can do that?
Yes, we've closed the alley.
Okay.
Because anyone who moves the barricade to go through that alley is risking injury to themselves. And when they don't move the barricade back, they're risking injury to anybody else. And if you don't know the situation, go to the alley and the barricade, you can't see the barricade, so it looks like you can get through, but then you don't know the alley's closed. So if you put up something more permanent, I think that'd be fine.
The cement barricade, and then identify it with orange, bright orange paint or something, so they don't drive into it.
Reflectors or
But don't
something.
paint the street.
Don't paint the street. Dan, maybe we could put a sign on the barricade. Can you make a sign? Alley closed until further notice, something to notify them?
You need to work it out for the trash removal, they're going to
They've got it, when we had the barricade there, there's only one barrel or one dumpster that they have trouble with. And we talked with the people that have the wedding shop here, and they said we could move the dumpster, not on a permanent basis, but just temporary, right around the corner there, in their parking lot at the rear of the old Barton's building. And when the barricade was there, the trash people were all right with that.
Is it Wabash Valley?
I believe it is, yes.
Dan?
The other one, there's a merchant there that I believe his name is Harris. He is moving, I've seen him move them
The barricades?
about 3 times
Yeah.
personally. Yeah.
Okay. We'll have a discussion after this, how we can try to notify everybody and what our intent is and why we're doing it, and ask for their cooperation. And they could certainly share the concerns of Wabash Valley and getting down the alley, but if we can accommodate their needs by moving the dumpsters to a different location and the neighbors don't object, then we've done our due diligence.
One merchant uses it to, he parks in back of his business. So
Okay.
he's not going to be able to move the concrete barricade. I'm just trying to alert you what the concerns are.
Okay. Very good.
I did talk with Mr. Harris about that, and my solution to him was that we only put the concrete barricade on the west end of it and put the wooden one on the east end. That way, when he had merchandise that he needed to unload, he could move the wooden one back up to the back door, and then when he leaves, replace the wooden one.
Okay.
Never replaces.
That's the problem.
They just disappear?
No,
And they run over them. We had 4 sets completely, broken in 2.
All right. Thank you, George.
Thank you.
Are there any more board member comments?
None.
Any visitor comments? No. Miscellaneous business including matters not already considered. Hearing none, entertain a motion to adjourn.